I have with me Vinci Rufus, head of our digital strategy, and we'll have a conversation on the future of commerce. So Vinci, what's cooking in commerce?
So mobile is obviously the buzzword right now. And in fact, we're seeing brands like Myntra going quite aggressive with an app-only approach. In fact, I want to hear from you. What do you think about, is it right for brands to go pure app-only?
It's a very interesting trend. I think for sure for Myntra, I think just the PR buzz is worth it. I think they've probably done a great move from that perspective. But if you look at all the brands or some other brand to just copy that strategy, I think the basic challenge that we have is that in the app world, the search and discovery is completely broken, right? So as soon as somebody goes app only, the only way you can get into the user's mobile phone is through a paid distribution channel mostly, and that's the trend we are seeing in the Indian startup community. So unless you have a lot of VC money to burn in distributing your app, I think this is going to be a very expensive proposition, and you can't take any advantage of the search and SEO capabilities that the web offers to you.
But then Google is trying to solve that problem by doing deep linking within apps, and hopefully very soon they will have ability where you can get results out of app.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody is trying to solve that problem. I think that's kind of the next big problem in the search world. But till it's solved, I think we are some distance away from solving it. I would not advise anybody to go app only. If app only is not really and in my I like to call it app mainly, probably, right? App mainly is maybe where things are right now. Mobile web remains very relevant, right? So what advice would you give to brands when they think of their mobile web strategy? We keep hearing of these terms like responsive, adaptive. What's the difference between responsive and adaptive?
A very interesting question, and obviously a lot of confusion around the two terms. So when you use the word adaptive as a term, what it means is your website is conforming to certain breakpoints or certain dimensions, and it works fine within that. It may or may not work in between those dimensions.
Give me an example of what do you mean by dimension.
So for example, if you're viewing your website on a desktop, it works fine. If you're watching it on an iPad, it works fine. But in case you have a tablet device which is somewhere in the middle, or a phablet phone which is say somewhere around a 6-inch, a site may or may not work in that in case you have an adaptive design. But if it is responsive, then it will work across all form factors. So whether it's a feature phone or maybe a mobile phone or even up to smart TVs, there's a good possibility that it will work seamlessly.
In a way, the site gracefully changes its form and is responsive to the form factor that has invoked that app, so to speak, right? So is commerce all going to be about mobile, or is there something more to commerce than mobile in this future?
So we've seen this evolution of commerce move from e-commerce to mCommerce to multi-channel commerce, and we're seeing all the brick and mortar stores enter the platform using the omni-channel strategy, right? What I feel is we are in the age of ubiquitous commerce as of yet. So people are going to transact with your brand and buy products from you, not only from your app and your website, but from all the various social network and the apps that they most commonly use.
All right. So you mean that commerce is basically going to get embedded in their digital workflows as they exist, rather than being a separate exercise that they do?
Exactly. So it will become a part of your life rather than you go specifically to go and buy a certain thing.
Are there some examples already around for that?
Obviously, you are seeing Pinterest coming up with their shop pins where you can just buy directly from there. Twitter is talking about putting up a buy button on their website.
Like the cards.
Exactly, the cards that they come up with. We are seeing interesting work happening with Snapchat, with businesses, wherein your delivery information regarding to your shipments are all going to be sent to you on to your chat application rather than sending them via SMSs or email. And you could, in fact, even have a conversation with your customer support on your favorite social app chat application and maybe buy something from there.
Interesting. So the overall e-commerce experience will probably move away from the apps and the websites into so many of the other. And so what we think of these traditional user experiences which are there are going to be increasingly smaller chunks and smaller percentages of what e-commerce means in the future.
Exactly. So what we feel is that going forward, the amount of business that comes from your app and your website is going to be a small percentage of the overall business that comes in from the various social channels.
Exciting.
The other thing is, we can assume that people are going to be your customers, but very soon you're going to be having bots and the Internet of Things coming into picture. I'm not surprised when your refrigerator is going to go and order milk for you, right? For example, or a slackbot just goes around pinging the various people within the offices, asking them what they want for lunch, and then sends out a consolidated order to your favorite food booking app saying, hey, this is an order that we want. This is the team lunch.
Asking how many veg,
exactly, yeah, exactly. So that's where I see the thing evolving very, very fast. Okay. And it's a pretty crucial thing for e-commerce applications to make sure that they are open to these new customers who are coming onto the site.